You are being recorded.
Okay, hi everyone. We're in the new construction class. Tips on purchasing new construction in this industry that we are in today. Okay, my name is Diane Stanley, and I've been with Keller Williams for 22 years, off and on. As I already mentioned, you're more than happy to give me a call. I can help you every step of the way with new construction. My cell phone again is 281-787-8922, and my email is Diane, D-I-A-N-E, @kennedyteam.net. I lost the screen, so I don't know if it's there or not. Just a little bit more of my background. I've started out in the resale industry for 2 years with Keller Williams. I've lived in the Woodlands for 31 years, so I know the area very well, and I've seen it prosper and grow and change quite a bit. I did new construction for almost 13 years for a variety of different builders, and I'm more than happy to give those builders' names to you if that's important to you. I also did design, which I mentioned just a little bit ago. So I've done all sides, full circle of the industry. And I asked a little bit earlier, how many of you are brand new to the industry? If you can raise your hands, that would be great. This is an interactive class, so I really would appreciate questions. If you have any questions, feel free to jump in and shout out. I'm here to help you every step of the way, okay, guys? All right, so let's get started. The first thing you need to know, if you're looking at the outline, it's Roman numeral 1. Hi, welcome. Is to set you apart from other agents. Setting yourself apart, being the local expert. Especially if you're brand new, and even if you're not brand new. It's very comfortable for individuals, for your prospects, your buyers, to make sure that you know what you're doing. And the more you can educate yourself, the easier it'll be for you as well as for your clients to make them feel reassured, okay? So in order to do that, you have to go out, venture out, and go to all the new inventory home, model homes here, on the outskirts, wherever you are selling homes, where you feel your territory might be. It may not be in this area, it may be in Cypress, it may be down in Sugar Land, who knows? But whatever that area is, go venture out, get to know those salespeople one-on-one. Don't go on a weekend. That's not a good idea because that's usually when they're pretty busy. And create that relationship. You're creating relationships like you do with your buyers and your sellers. Create the relationship with the salespeople on site because it will help you in the long run. And I'll share a little story with you in a little bit about that. Just like you do with all your vendors, your inspectors. Have a handful of people that you work closely with and bring them business, and they will return a lot of favors to you, okay? So go out, visit the communities, get to know your inventory, all right? Walk through the model homes. Learn all the phases of new construction. New construction is much more difficult than selling a resale home. Okay, there's a lot of different steps involved. And if you want to be the expert and if you want to keep that buyer for life as a referral, it's important that you understand the business and learn all of the phases. And that includes when you go to a community, how many of you have sold a new inventory home? Anybody? Anybody built a home too? Okay, so what was your experience when you went to that community?
When I built for myself, or
doesn't matter.
I've actually had good experiences both times. Firstly, when we built, there were some hiccups. I wasn't licensed at the time, but we did have a representation from a realtor from the office who I'm obviously team with. But
Okay.
So there's a trust factor there, and our agent was able to represent us and get us what we wanted without too much headache on our end. And then as far as representing a buyer in that aspect, so far it's been smooth sailing. I have a relationship with the salesperson already.
Good.
So that helps too.
Okay, absolutely.
But we're in the we've only been in it maybe a month or two.
Okay. Okay, good. So if you've never sold an inventory or build from the ground up with a builder, then you've got a lot of legwork you need to do. You need to spend your time not only lead generating, but going out to the communities and finding out about all of the builders. And there's a number of them. If you're not familiar with them in this area, I'm more than happy to shout out a few. You've got Del Webb, which is a 55 plus community off of 1488. You've got Foster's Ridge, which is a D.R. Horton community. It's zoned to the Woodlands schools, just FYI, in case you didn't know that. And they're right off of Old Conroe Road in 1488. It's 8 minutes to the HEB from that community. So that helps a lot too, to get to know the HOA, what the community offers, hike and bike trails, just like the Woodlands. You know, people want to say, well, I want to be in the Woodlands. Well, there isn't anything left in the Woodlands except Creekside and resale. Okay, so if they want to start from the ground up or want something brand new, if they don't want those two areas, then you have to put your thinking cap on. You've got Grand Central Park, which is north of here. Literally 8 to 10 minutes to get to the front of the Woodlands here, to go to the pavilion, to go to shopping. I was just there this morning with some clients, and that was real important to them because they kept professing that they wanted to be in the Woodlands. And I said, well, we've looked at umpteen homes that are on the resale side, and there's never that perfect home. You know, you always want to tweak it a little bit. So we had to venture out, and we have. Then you have brand new David Weekley community condo right here at the front in East Shore. If you haven't been there, they just opened their doors. You need to go take a look at that. There are 2 to 3 stories, and they're right there off of East Shore Drive. They range from $600 to $700. Price range right over here off of Grogan's Mill. You've got Artavia, you've got Woodlands Hills, which is up there in Willis off of I-45 and Highway 830. That's another wonderful community that looks a lot like the Woodlands as well and offers a lot of amenities. You need to become familiar with the communities on the lake. One of them is a D.R. Horton community. J.R. Jonker is an excellent salesperson up there. Get to know him. He will take care of your clients and you will treasure him forever. And that's the only community on the lake that has water access, private boat dock. You can fish off the dock. It's wonderful.
What was that one?
Watercrest, and the salesperson is J.R. Jonker, and he's awesome. The community has 2 pools with the clubhouse and walking trails, and it's right there on the lake. You get off at League Line Road off of I-45. So take it upon yourself to go educate yourself, learn all these new communities. You have Artavia, if you've heard of that, that's off of 242. Have any of you been to any of the new communities at all? Okay. Good, good. Help me think of a few more if I haven't mentioned some of them.
Wood Forest.
Oh, yeah, well, yes, of course, Wood Forest. That has every builder out there you can imagine. Falls at Imperial Oaks on the other side. And you have all of those builders in Harmony, all of those new builders. Yep, people that want to be right off of 99 if they have to get to downtown quickly.
Woodlands is there.
Easy access. So learn where your people have to go to work. A lot of them are working out of their homes now, which is great, but they still have to commute a little bit to get to other top parts of town.
Have you been to the Grove?
Yeah. So there's a lot of new communities. Just start pulling them up online.
Do you know if, because I know the salespeople from Artavia came here a while back when they were just starting out. Do you know if that flooded during Harvey, that area?
I don't believe that it did, no.
Okay.
Yeah. And they'll be honest with you and tell you that.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's a real important question.
I live in Grand Central, have been for a year. I'm at the back of the community, just south of 336. So there's a wall behind me. You can tell that they built up that whole area because it was.
Yeah, that was the Boy Scout camp. Yeah.
because my backyard goes, yeah. And so right across the freeway is River Plantation, and
Yep.
we are scared of River Plantation.
That's correct. Yeah.
So, but I bought in Grand Central knowing that they built it up and it's not considered a flood zone.
Right.
But you can tell why, because
Right.
they really did it.
Right. And ask. That's part of your responsibility to, represent your buyers. You want to always ask those important questions. Okay? Couple more things with being the local expert is to discuss the quality of the construction with the builder. Get an appointment and go on one of the days that they're not going to be busy and talk to them about their quality of construction, because not all builders are alike, as we all know, and price ranges. Let me give you an example for David Weekley, because I worked for David Weekley, and I know Janice did too, many years ago. They have quality construction. They'll talk to you about it. They're proud of it. They put you through a lot of training as a sales counselor. So if you can get any of that knowledge free, why not go for it? That makes you look important to your buyer, that you know what you're talking about. Not just coming from the David Weekley salesperson, but coming from you as well. Okay? And they're not the only quality construction builder. That's just one that I'm suggesting that you go talk to, because I think they're more free with sharing that information as well. And usually they have it right there in the lobby when you walk in. They have the quality of construction right there, and they'll explain it to you if they take the time. So go online, get the reviews of the builders, because you have your lower end price point, and then you have your, of course, $1 million homes, and they all vary. So it's important for you to know that information. Go online, talk to buyers. If you have family, friends that have bought a particular home from a particular builder, find out what their experience was, just like this young lady here. Don't be shy. Get as much information as you can, okay? And you may yourself have built a home. When I moved here 31 years ago, I built a David Weekley home and went through the entire process with them. All they had at the time was the slab poured, but then I got to build the rest of the home with them, and I learned a lot then too. So that's real important. Talk to previous buyers. Let's move on to topic 2, some factors that influence the builder pricing. Well, let me see how many people know what that might be. Anybody? Raise your hand. Don't be shy, you guys. Interactive here.
Location.
Location, absolutely location. Well, let's take the Woodlands as an example. How many of you have lived here very long? Okay, how long have you lived here?
Conroe Woodlands, my life.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So do you think that the cost of building in the Woodlands is higher than maybe out in Tomball?
I would say yes, ma'am.
Okay, exactly. So that's another factor. The location, the cost of the land. When a builder comes into a community, they have to look at all of that. Okay, so that's what's added into the price of your home. You've got the building materials. And now we have COVID, or have had COVID since February, March. The labor costs, and then the real estate market conditions. What do we have right now that we're experiencing?
Scarce.
But I mean, for the market conditions, what do we have?
Homes just flying off the market.
And
So
why
it's
is
great
that?
for
Low inventory, that's what I wanted to hear. Exactly. Even in the new home sales offices, I just came from Grand Central Station. And the particular builders up there, we went to every single builder. And yes, they were picky. However, there isn't much on the ground, folks. I mean, we have to build. And that's the way it is. And they can get top dollar for their product because there's so much low inventory. So if you have people that want to list their home now, it's a great time because they'll get it sold pretty quickly. If you price it right, Janice? Price it right. And condition. So low inventory, the COVID has caused the labor costs to go up as well. People were trying to also remodel during COVID because they were bored and they realized they were too tightly fit in this home and both working from home. So now people are wanting to sell their home and buy a larger home. So that's opportunities for you as well. Okay. 3, educate your buyers. Why do they need you? Anybody? Why do they need you if they go to a new home sales counselor and buy a home?
The salesperson doesn't necessarily represent the buyer, they represent the builder.
Thank you. Accurate. Yes, absolutely 100%. Hiring you secures for your buyer that you have their best interests at heart. They're salespeople that work for the builder. They don't work for your buyer. They don't work for you. You represent them. That's your fiduciary responsibility, just like you would be selling them a resale home. Okay? And you're the local expert because you've done all your homework prior to that. So you know pretty much as the salesperson does. And if you don't, you'll ask, right? Most builders require you accompany your buyer on the very first visit. This is the most important thing you can do. If you can't be with your client the very first time, then you need to make sure that you've gone to that community, that you've looked at the inventory, that you have talked to the salesperson, and that you have registered your client. You give them the name and maybe their email and phone number, but more importantly, your name that you're representing them, just in case they decide to pop by without you, to make sure that that salesperson knows that you're representing them, okay? Give your people your cards, your business cards, and say, if you're going to go out this weekend without me, I would really appreciate it if you would make sure when you do visit the new home salespeople that you tell them that I'm working with you and that you give them my card, okay? If you have created that relationship, which we talked about earlier, that's the most important thing, they will be more gracious with you about registering them if you can't be with them, okay? In the times gone by, that wasn't necessarily the case. They now currently love realtors because they know that we bring them a lot of business. But in the past, it's been known that that didn't always happen. And I'll give you an instance that happened with one of our fellow agents, and luckily I was able to help her out. Having worked for this particular builder, she had taken the people to the community, showed them a number of inventory homes, but she didn't show them this one particular house. She registered them with the salesperson, and the people decided to go behind her back and buy and say, no, she didn't show us this house, so she didn't represent us. Well, that's not the case, because she did register them. She had shown them homes. She had taken them to the community. So she knew I had worked for this builder and asked for my help, which I was happy to help her with. So I made a phone call to management, and they investigated it, checked out the salesperson, and said, yes, it was all done correctly, so you will receive your commission. Because that buyer was going to keep that 3% commission from her for no reason. She'd taken good care of them. But sometimes people do what they want to do. So just keep that in mind. If you've got it in writing, then you're covered, okay? I pretty much had said, just educate your buyers by letting them know that, if you're going to stop out in these communities on a weekend and you can't be with them, call ahead, let the salesperson know, give them their name so that they know that they might be stopping by. And you've already created that relationship with them, so you should be good. Who has any idea about the best time to buy? I'm on outline number 4. Any idea?
Good fall. Towards the end of the year.
Hey, you stole my thunder. Yeah, most builders are publicly traded on the stock exchange. So they have to meet their sales goals and they have to answer to the shareholders. So for that reason, there's really 2 good times to purchase an inventory home. And that's in October and December. Because they want to get them off the books and they want to be a little more aggressive with sales prices and getting them off the books. In December, why do you think it's a good time to buy?
Get in before homestead.
Yay, thank you, Janice. And why else? They've got some, that's where the deals are, and they might have, say, 5 homes sitting on the market. Not that that's the case this year, but in years past, people are usually busy what? In December? Christmas shopping and spending money on gifts as opposed to a house. But just think of it this way. You can buy a house and it can be your gift, which is a lot of times a good way to put it towards your buyers and say, hey, this could be your house. This could be your gift for Christmas. Get in before January, get that homestead, you know, all that. So those are the best times to buy. End of the quarter, which is October, September, October, and December. Same reason why we say, you know, the fall is a great time to list your house. Any thoughts on that from anybody? Anybody have a seller that's listed their house?
Well, usually it's kind of like decorated and it plays on more of that emotion of the holidays.
Exactly. The smells, if you bake cookies or whatever, it's the same thing. Okay? All right. Builder list prices. I think we talked about this a little bit. They don't like to reduce their prices, but they do offer incentives on closing costs and design center options. I had a client that I worked with this morning up in Grand Central Park, which is where they purchased, and they signed on the dotted line, and they received $25,000 towards their design center options. Okay, that's a good deal. They're buying the home of their dreams. They're putting in it what they want, and they are on a large home site. It had a lot premium, of course, but it's a beautiful community, and it looks a lot like the Woodlands, and it's close by. So if you haven't been up there, you really need to go up there and take a look. So they don't like to reduce the prices. So the builders are not emotionally attached to the inventory home. Okay. They make decisions based on their bottom line, and this is known as time value. Write that down. Time value. That means that every day a home is on the market, it's losing money. So it's important for you to look at what the inventory is and look at the days on the market. A lot of times they will have those listed in HAR, okay, because they want us as realtors to bring clients to them. So when you do a filter in HAR for your buyers, which I hope all of you are doing, that's the best way to find homes that are coming on the market, and that way the client can look at their leisure when they click that link, is to find out what is in inventory and how many days on market it is. So what do you think the trigger factor is for the number of days on market that you would get a better deal? The longer the better. So start from 45 days out. 45 days out is the time value of when it starts ticking for that builder that, you know what, we need to offer a little more incentive on this house so that we can get it off our books. And you'll get a good deal. Again, the next topic is that some buyers think that they can get a better deal by reducing and getting rid of you. Just as I expressed with the David Weekley incident, that's not the case, okay? The commission of 3% and sometimes even a bonus of 4%, 5%, it depends on the time of year. Some builders offer a higher bonus than others. That is already in their marketing budget, okay? Make sure you write that down. It's already there. So they're not going to get a better deal because the builder is not going to reduce the price. So if they don't bring you with them and put you down on that contract, guess where that money goes? Right back to the builder, because they were planning on spending that to pay you. But without you, that just goes back into their marketing budget.
And so they don't want to reduce the price because that would water down the value.
Exactly, and that was my next point, that will devalue the neighborhood, and they don't want that. They want their appraised values to stay high. Janice?
So April wants you to address the market center 2250 case that Lenard bringing their commissions down to 2 or 2.5%.
Yeah, I just heard that yesterday, which is kind of shocking, to be quite honest. You know, they're obviously having financial difficulty, and I don't know why, because they're a great builder. But again, that goes into play with the labor costs and if they have any inventory. So that's something.
Fight for your 3%.
Yeah, just fight for the 3%. That's really out of our control, but ask for your 3%. I'll find out a little bit more about that. Yeah, not a problem. Is there another builder that's doing it too, or just Lennar?
I couldn't hear
Lennar.
what.
Okay, were there any other questions? Because it's hard for me to see on the screen.
Yeah, I couldn't hear Denise's
LGI?
question.
Yeah, they're a little bit lower end too, so they're cutting costs. That's what they're doing. Who? That's what she's saying, LGI. Yeah. But I'll check into that for everybody. So when you're with your buyer and you're writing a contract, you want to make sure that you get everything in writing. In other words, if the salesperson promised something when you were walking the property, say for instance it's just the land that you're buying and you're going to bill with a particular individual, and Joe Schmo says, oh yes, we'll put in a fence in for you if it doesn't come with a fence or whatever. You want to make sure you get that in writing, because it's not a he said, she said game here, guys. You're representing the buyer and you want to get everything that they were promised you and your client. So make sure you get it in writing, that you take the time to read the contract. Don't just let them send it to you DocuSign to sign and quickly go through it, because their documents are lengthier than ours. They're at least 25 pages, if not longer. Okay, so it's real important that you read the document, be there with them, and go through the process with them. One thing I skipped across by accident was walking through a model home, and that's my next, number 6 is my topic. What's not included and what is included in a model home. When you go through a model home, you see a lot of what? Bling. Yeah. So what's the important thing for you to do at that point?
Ask, what's included?
Yeah, because they're not going to have little labels, are they, Janice, saying, oh, this is an upgrade.
No.
So when you walk through the model home, ask. Get a list of options for your clients so they know approximately how much the stuff is, like beams in the ceiling. There's a model home, a Weston model home up there, and the beams were extra. Everything's extra in that house. And it was like lots of bling. So it's important for your clients to understand that, because you're talking at least $50,000 to $60,000 difference in the base price plus the lot premium of what is in that house. Because if you don't set that expectation up front, they will be disappointed in you, not the sales counselor, but you, because you didn't do your job. So make sure that you've done that line by line and just get it all estimated out. And if the salesperson would be willing to sit with you to give you that pricing information ahead of time, that's very helpful. Some of them won't, but at least ask, okay?
Jack said usually everything in the model has been upgraded to showcase it at its best.
Of course, yeah. But a lot of times too, if you go to an inventory home, they'll put options in there, but at least they down it a little bit, you know, downplay the countertops and the cabinets and stuff. So that gives your people a little more realistic look of what is standard in a house. So, but always get a packet, get your standard feature sheets, get your options, price it out for them so that they know going in that, hey, it's going to cost you $490,000 versus $430,000. It's a big difference. Okay. Any questions so far?
So you just mentioned financing,
Mhm.
and typically on new builds, Don't you usually have to go through the builder's
Yeah.
lender or mortgage company?
Right, and that was my next topic, so I'm glad you got to that point. Yeah, most of the incentives that you'll find with every builder are tied to using their lender. And that's not bad, because you've already pre-qualified them, right? Before you started taking them out, I hope. And the number one pre-approval mortgage lender you should be offering your people is Keller Mortgage, guys. Keller Mortgage is awesome. And if you want to have an excellent loan officer with Keller Mortgage, I always use Melissa Rush. She works weekends, she answers my calls, she answers my emails, and she is the top-notch person there that I use with all of my clients. And I know Teresa does too. So Keller Mortgage, and then always have at least 2 or 3 other lenders for backup. Who do y'all use? Cherry Creek Mortgage, excellent. Jason, yep. Leah?
Cornerstone and Mason at Cornerstone.
Okay,
And also Wayne Hannah with Veterans United.
okay.
That's gonna be really
So you have at least 3 that you recommend, right? Okay, good. Yeah, you want to always have a pocket full of lenders, just like you do inspectors and everything. Yes, sir.
Excuse me, as you mentioned, Keller Williams Mortgage and in-house financing, my previous job, we were able to win people out of using in-house financing while still keeping a lot of their incentives.
Right.
Which would benefit in able to bring them to Keller Williams Mortgage for all the perks while still getting the perks from the builder. Just to show.
Right. Well, the home that we just purchased just an hour ago with Weston, they prefer that you use their lender as well, but we didn't have to, and we were already pre-approved with Keller Mortgage. So they got that $25,000 in design center options. So some builders, it doesn't matter, but you want to go in with a pre-approval because they won't even write a contract with you without that. Okay. Let's see here. The most important thing also is that you get the options up front for your buyer, decide what they want to purchase, and most importantly, the structural options. Once you learn the construction business and are able to walk through homes, walk through the model home, can you name a few of the items that might be really, really crucial for you to suggest to your buyer to have in a new construction home that they wouldn't think of? Any thoughts on that?
I would guess windows for energy efficiency.
Yeah, sorta. But more importantly, structurally, what would you have to choose up front?
Extended patio,
Thank you. Extended patio. What else?
the
Study
brick,
option.
the brick color
I'm
sometimes.
sorry.
The color of the brick.
The color of the brick. Well, yes and no. I'm thinking of options like was mentioned, the covered patio, gas stub out on that covered patio if you're thinking of putting in an outdoor kitchen, a floor plug, because that has to be put in at slab stage. You can't put it in after. That's so that when you're floating your furniture and you want to plug in a lamp, it's not strung across the floor.
A TV
Okay.
outlet for the patio.
I'm sorry?
A TV outlet, they have to do it. for
TV outlet on the patio, okay, especially if you have a fireplace option and you want it to be above the fireplace, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Christmas light plugs in the-
Christmas light plugs on your patio outside, that's an option. What else?
Sprinkler.
Sprinkler system, if it is not included, ask. It's usually not included.
Like blinds and ceiling fans aren't all, sometimes it can be thrown in, but not
Right.
always.
Blinds and ceiling fans, if you didn't hear that. And a lot of times that might be part of their incentive package, okay? I know D.R. Horton, that's part of their package. What else can you think of that might help your clients?
Garage door openers if they're not included.
Garage door openers. Nobody wants to get out and pull that crank down by hand, do they? All right.
Fence if it's not included.
Fence, oversized garage. If you guys have trucks more than one car. You want to make sure that you've got enough space in the garage for your client to be able to get in and out. If there's more than one buyer, if they've got kids, teenage kids,
Additional outlets, so just making sure if there's outlets on
Right.
every wall.
like
And that they're, what's it called,
GFCI protected. If you're thinking of putting a pool in, the most important factor about the home site is what?
Easements.
Anybody?
Easements.
Easements, thank you, because each community is different. Some communities have a 14-foot setback off of that fence line, and that destroys the backyard for putting in a pool if it's not big. Even 10 feet. Usually it's 5 feet on the sides and 10 feet off the back, sometimes 5 feet off the back, it just depends. So look to see where those utilities are. Sometimes they're in the front and sometimes they're in the back. So covered patios, being able to see what a pool would look like. They have overlays for the plot plans with different size pools that they can put for you and visually see so that you can see that. They did this morning with Weston Homes. What other questions can you think of that would be important to know up front?
We had, so when we built ours, our builder said that we would not be able to do a refrigerator or freezer in the garage, which isn't a big deal for us, but for some people it might be, for like drinks and things like that in the garage. So making sure that your garage area can get the correct amount of power.
So what type of ampage would you need if you wanted to put a refrigerator in there? Do you know?
I don't know.
220, a 220. And also, it's important to ask your clients, do you like to do power tools? That requires extra ampage in the garage as well. A lot of times, a garage will only have one outlet. So you want to add at least an extra one, right? Okay. What else may I not have covered in structural options? Can anybody think of anything else that's important?
Some of the crawl spaces in attics are really nice nowadays. Is that
Yeah.
something?
Yep. And what do you call that?
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody know what that's called?
Texas basement.
Texas basement.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you, whoever said that. Yeah,
Okay.
Texas basement is storage. Storage is real important to a lot of people, especially if they're downsizing from a smaller home. They want that extra space, or from a larger home.
Right.
So that's really
And if-
important. You can usually floor it.
And if you can walk in, it's really nice, especially if you're older. Not that I'm
Right.
speaking
Thank
from
you, April.
experience.
Okay, good. So talking about that, then let's go back to the incentives and how they're attached with the lender.
Question, would you suggest any other instructions in the finance?
We were just getting to that. Yes, absolutely. I'll answer that question for you. So the last phase is to be present at all of the walks. If you're invited to, and make sure you say that up front to the salesperson, that you want to be involved in the process, you want to be copied on the emails, you want to be present for the frame walk, the sheetrock, and the final walk. Some of the builders have cut those down to 2 now, so it just depends on the builder. You want to be a part of the process, and that's real important that you tell your clients that as well, so they know that you're with them every step of the way, okay? I've even gone to the design center with my clients and helped them pick their options, especially if they're single people, women that, you know, have no clue or just want that extra handheld support. You may have to do that, and that will help you in the long run as well, helping those people make their selections.
Okay.
Yes.
Is part of that partnership with the client to also advise how some of these upgrades might not
Yes.
be valuable later?
Absolutely. Yeah, you know from seeing resale homes what sells
Yes, ma'am.
and what doesn't. So that helps you help them select the right choices. It's a
I'm with
good
you.
way to put it. I was trying to find the right words
I'm
for
with
that.
you. I'm with
So
you.
you don't want to tell them anything, but you want to suggest hey, you know, the way the market's going right now, everybody wants hard surface floors, whether they're tile, vinyl wood plank, or wood.
Mhm.
They don't want carpet anywhere except maybe in the bedrooms. So you can suggest that. You know, you want to be careful with the paint choices. Accent paint's always extra. Just go with their standard wall paint and you can always paint it later. There's a lot of ways you can cut costs. And then if they don't include the sprinklers, put it in afterwards. Sometimes they don't even sod the backyard. Put it in afterwards. Don't pay their price of what they want to charge. Okay? Sometimes they also include appliances. Ask if it includes a refrigerator. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. That's a big cost.
Right.
That's a $2,000 cost right there for your client. So it's important to know because they may leave their freezer with the sell of their home if they have to sell, right?
Mhm.
So that's real important. Anything else I may not have touched upon before I wind the final walk that you're going to do with your client? You're going to suggest they do a third-party inspection. Why? Anybody have any other? Well, no. Why should you suggest that they have a third-party inspection? The house was inspected all along the way.
It's inspected by the builders, there's no stage.
Right. And you're representing the buyer and you want them to be able to have the best what? Experience. Exactly. And there is no perfect builder, guys. I'm sorry, but there isn't. They may build a very nice home, but they do make mistakes.
And they're using subcontractors.
And they're
too,
using
so-
subcontractors, exactly. I always suggest a third-party inspection, and it's usually done 2 weeks prior to closing. So you have to let the builder know that you're going to do a third party and who it's going to be, because you'll have to send that inspection report to the salesperson. And then he'll get it to the builder, and then all of that has to be taken care of prior to the final walk, which is usually a week before, and then you'll do another final walk to sign off on everything. So that's very crucial that you follow up with that and make sure that that's spot on when you do suggest the inspection. You also want to make sure that you're there during the inspection, at least for the latter part of it. Inspections usually take 3 hours now. If it's a large home, if it's a smaller home, 2 to 2.5 hours. You want to be there with your buyer at the very end. Now, I know that during part of the time we couldn't be present with COVID, but you just need to make sure that you talk to your client about the inspection report, just like you would if it was a resale. And then the nice thing is you don't have to create an amendment and ask for repairs because they have to complete the repairs. That's the nice thing. So that's the easy part. So what else may I answer for you that I may have skipped over quickly? Are we okay on time? Yeah. Go ahead.
Diane, this is Shelley. The process can be an extended process.
Right.
And because that timeline is so long, things can come up and delays can happen. What is your experience, Diane, when you have clients that are selling existing to move into new purchase and managing that? Obviously, we want to be present through the process.
Right.
Catch things early on, but I know we tend to shy away from leasebacks and contingencies. Are you writing those in the contract, or are we just communicating with everybody and that's so important? How do you handle?
Well, it depends on each situation, but of course, if you have a buyer that has to sell their home in order to purchase, what is that called? A contingency, and that is exactly what you're going to do with a new build, okay? You want to make sure that they're protected and they can get out of it if necessary. If they don't have to sell that home, then you want to get that home on the market ASAP. You need to ask your buyer, are you willing to move into a temporary housing situation so that we can get top dollar for your home and take advantage of the market that we're in right now? That's the situation my clients are in. So it's real important as to the time of year and if they are willing to move to another lease, temporary lease, wherever,
Diane?
store their furniture. That's real important. Because if the timing's not right, then you have to wait. But with the low interest rates we have right now, you know, I would encourage your people to sell, because we don't know what the future will bring, do we? So,
Diane, the contingency, the,
For your buyer.
Right.
For free, or reduce the price, or how do you know as an agent if we should ask and how firmly?
okay, good point, April. I'm happy to answer that question for you. Don't ever think that the sales price that you see on the piece of paper is the price that they'll sell it to you for.
Right.
That's a good way to put it.
Right.
In other words, it just depends. Again, if it's a finished inventory home, you have more negotiating room, right? But what did I say earlier about not lowering the price of the homes because it defaces the appraised value in the community? How do they offer that to you? With incentives and design center options. So if the home is finished, what are they doing with that money that they have to play with? Remember, October, December are the best time to buy. What's that?
Is it going to the market?
Yep, but then they have that money in which to use because they want to get it off their books, right?
Right.
They want to get it off the books.
Oh, are they offering the PTSAs?
Yes, yeah, they may offer a BTSA or something like that. So you can go in and make an offer on an inventory home if it's been sitting there for a little bit. Know that right up front. Okay. Say, for instance, let's take a $500,000 home, and it's been sitting there for 2 months, maybe even 3 months. Why do you think it's still sitting there? Well, there's probably a couple of reasons. Location, okay, not a big enough backyard, or the color choices may not have been what, you know, most people wanted. But these people, your buyers, are willing to go in and make a few changes to it. But they're not going to pay $500,000 for that house. They want it for less. What do you think would be a fair price to offer that the builder would even consider? Any idea? Kind of think of it as a resale. What you would do when you have your buyer write an offer on a resale.
Would you say within like a percentage?
Yes.
1 to 3%?
Yeah, I would, if I had a $500,000 home and if that house had been sitting there for 3 months, I would at least offer at least 10 grand, 15, maybe even 20 grand less. So always just kind of privately, don't do it in front of your clients, ask the salesperson, okay, what would you take for this house? What if we offered this? Would that even be acceptable?
Is there a specific percentage, like just for your personal rule of thumb that you stick by, like?
No, not
5%,
really,
okay,
because
okay.
it's the condition, it's the location.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's just
Yeah.
like a resale. If it backed up to, you know, a major busy highway, then offer 30,000 less.
So
You know,
nothing
I mean, it just depends. So you really kind of have to use your same rule of thumb that you would on the resale side. But just know going in that unless you're building, it's an inventory home, it's been sitting there, I'm going to make you an offer. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
So you said for inventory homes, is it for new construction too, around October and December, or is it
Yes.
just for inventory homes? You go into the-
Oh, I got you. Just inventory.
Okay, so
Yeah.
typical time is if you go to the online shipping. What's a good time frame? Anytime?
Anytime.
Okay.
Anytime, because there's no inventory out there. Yeah, that's why my people have to build too. And that's going to take 7 to 9 months. Interest rates are going to be different. We don't know what, you know, the future holds. So you can get them on an inventory home and do it. It's for their benefit if there's something out there, which is hard to.
Which, you know, on inventory, they have to compromise on something.
Absolutely. They have to compromise and they have to be willing to go in and say, okay, it's going to cost me $5,000 to change out these countertops. Are you willing to do that for the better price? You know, so it's kind of pros and cons. You have to weigh that out. Anybody
Diane
else on
Stanley,
my?
Yes, this is
TV?
Shelley. I had a quick question. When somebody I have a client that just, we went under contract for a new build and they are at dirt right now.
Uh-huh.
It's a production home. It's not it's not a custom builder. So do you have a process of how you touch base and keep up with this? Because you're so excited, you're showing all these things, they've made a decision, then all of a sudden I feel like it's kind of radio silent because, framing, all of that. It's
Right.
like, where do you come in working with your client?
On a weekly basis.
Still a
I email
weekly?
the salesperson on a weekly basis to give me an update. I go visit the house and look at it and take pictures, especially if you have out-of-town buyers and they're not here, they want to see the stages of their home.
Okay, so
And
it's a
you're
weekly and do
representing
all
them,
that.
that's
Okay.
what you need to do. I'm sorry?
Okay, awesome. Yeah, terrific. And then also, what is the verbiage that you use in asking the builder, like, I want to be a part of the process along the way for those different walkthroughs and things like that? My previous new build that I closed, I found myself really pulling to get information from the builder. They just wanted to work with the client. And for me to show up and
Well,
get a check, and I'm not okay with that.
and you shouldn't be. You need to make it known up front that you're going to be a part of the process and that you would like to be included on the emails, and you need to make the phone calls and check in with them if you're not being included on those emails. And then they'll finally get the connection there that you're important and you're important to the buyer as well. And if you want to share the home builder, please feel free to do so. So we all know. Are you willing to share?
No. It
Okay.
it was
Well,
I don't have a problem with it. It was a DR. It
What
was
is
DR
it?
Horton. It was
Really?
DR. Yeah.
Which community?
For up at Foster's. They're like, we got it. It's all good.
Foster's Ridge?
Yeah.
Really? I'm
Yeah.
surprised.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I could give you the name of who to call.
Yeah, I was going to say you had mentioned a different you actually mentioned a different one for Watercrest also than
Yeah,
who I
J.R. Jonker's awesome.
Okay, cool.
Yep, he's awesome. He is probably one of the top-notch salespeople for D.R. Horton, along with Scott over in Harmony. They keep you involved. They keep you in the loop. He sends pictures. Sometimes I have to prompt them a little bit because they're busy. But as long as you let them know up front that, hey, you want to be there for your client, you're part of the process, you shouldn't have any trouble. If you are having trouble, then you need to go take a visit out there and talk to the person face to face. And
Okay, and have you worked with Legend Homes? Have you worked at all with Legend Homes?
Yes. Have I?
Yes.
Yes.
Because they've got a couple of communities.
Friend that is the sales manager for them. So if you need help, let me know.
Yeah. So who is the sales manager that you're familiar with?
Karen Nickel.
Oh, okay.
She'll help you in a heartbeat.
She just got me a wonderful surprise bonus, actually.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
She and I are best friends. So
I didn't realize that Camillo Homes and Legend, it's the same guy, Camillo, that owns all of that. So yeah, it's really awesome bonus incentives that they're doing for our agents.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so again, what is that? Relationships, right? You want to build those relationships, and when you need help, you can call higher ups to get that help. But feel free to reach out to me if you need any help with anything. I know quite a few people in the industry, so I did management for a little while too with Ryland Homes. So if you need help, just let me know. Any other questions? And
Yes, Diane.
Built from dirt in a popular neighborhood, you don't really have any wiggle room?
if you build from dirt in a popular neighborhood, no.
Yes, that's correct. Dan wants to know, for financing contingency, if a buyer has a home to sell, to buy the new construction, the builder contract addresses the contingency in their contract.
Correct.
Says it's contingent upon obtaining financing. Is that all we can count on if we need to sell to buy the new home?
There's two stages to that. It's based on your financing. Once you get financing, then they change it to contingent upon the closing and funding of your home. There's two stages.
Mami,
First stage is they base it on financing, okay, to get their approval for financing. Then they release that, and then they change it to contingent upon the closing of your home.
Okay.
Closing and funding of your home.
So I have an out-of-state buyer. They're in Michigan now. They're trying to sell their house. It's been on the market at least, I'd say, 2 months. They just had a price reduction this week, and they're coming down this weekend, and all of a sudden they want to look at new construction. They have a very lengthy criteria of what they want, and I know what they want is not going to be in city limits per se. So knowing that the sale of their home in Michigan has been wonky, let's just say, how do I play off of that to help them find new construction? Because I'm not their realtor, I'm not on the other side of that transaction.
Of the
On
house.
sale.
Okay. Well, number one, how much time do they have to be under the contingent contract with the new home builder? They only give them a certain amount of time. If they're
Okay.
building, that's different. If it's an inventory home, they'll usually only do 30 to 60 days max
Okay.
to get that home sold. So it just depends.
Okay.
Is that answering your question?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Any other questions, folks? So I hope today you've learned what? Relationships are real important with salespeople. Learning your inventory, going out there, going to those communities. You know, when I was in your shoes, I took a friend and we went out and we made it a party. We'd go to all the new neighborhoods and let the people know who we were, get those free drinks and food or whatever. And that's the way you do it. Take someone with you and have fun with it. Learn about the community. The HOA is a big deal. Wood Forest has a big HOA. Grand Central Station has an HOA. Most of the communities have HOAs. So it's important for you to know that because some people don't like that to find out at the very end. What? You said what? You didn't tell us that. You know, so 281-787-8922.
you want to party with us?
Hey, I was just there. Anytime, yeah. So just call me if you have any questions. If I can help you with anything, please feel free to reach out to me. My email was diane@kennedyteam.net. I've been doing this for a while, so I'm happy to help. And then if you have any other questions, I guess we can wrap it up. Well, thank you. Thank you. I covered a lot of information, so I know that it was kind of hard to absorb. So if you have questions afterwards, feel free to give me a call, okay?
Your outline helps, so it's easy to keep up.
Yeah, well, I hope so. Thank you for having me, everyone. Okay, bye now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
so much. It was so good. We learned a lot.
Good, I'm glad.
Bye-bye.
Too fast. I was trying to watch the time.